Hello everybody, it's been a while. Yes, it's been way too long since I've made a proper video for you guys. But before I do something with a little bit more episodes, because I got something planned in that regard, I wanted to show you something I've been working on. So you may remember my Volatile concept carrier vehicle with a front-loading cargo bay. Well, that idea kind of developed and, well, it evolved into this. This is the Harbinger. The Harbinger is hopefully an SSTO spaceplane, so SSTO of course stands for single stage to orbit. Well, that's not exactly true, because we're staging, at least in the staging UI, another set of engines, but we're not losing any parts, so we're not shedding weight while we're ascending towards orbit. So this is really tricky to get up to speed. You really have to always open one of those action menus and look at the thrust indicator. As soon as that goes down, you have to flatten your trajectory so the vehicle can pick up some more speed. And I've skipped ahead through some of those sequences. So yeah, we are now way past supersonic speeds. So the hull is getting a little bit hot, but nothing to worry about yet. So the goal is to get up to somewhere around 1300 meters per second. This is looking really yellow now. And from the inside the crew is chilling, so apparently the cooling system for the crew cabin is working. Okay, here we go. And we've skipped ahead once more. Now we're above 20 kilometers and I'm going to add the nuclear engines, which are now almost working correctly, or they're about, well, they're using about 790 of their theoretical 800 ISP, so specific impulse. And I'm switching now to the Rapier engine's closed cycle mode, so you may have noticed that I'm not using all of those engines, so I don't use all of the fuel too fast. So the reason I'm doing that is because, of course, once you're very high up, you can't use air-breathing engines anymore, and you have to rely on chemical rockets or nuclear or ion or whatever. But I did not yet manage to get an ion plane into space. So there we go. I'm trying to get my apoaps really high so I can coast there with the nuclear engines and then circularize. But we are now out of oxidizer. We only have our liquid fuel left, and yeah, well, it doesn't look like that the apoaps is already above 70,000. Far from it. So maybe. Okay. Well, this is not a planned pitch up of the nose, it's just doing it for reasons. So I'm trying to transfer some fuel up there so I can make it a little bit more top heavy to, yes, that seemed to have worked. Now we're back on a flat trajectory, so my goal is to hopefully increase speed fast enough so that the apoaps can rise before I reach it, because if I pass it, then my height of course will sink, and yeah, that won't end well. Okay, we're now way above 50 kilometers. Nukes are firing fine, but we are not in the clear yet, so well, this is looking bad. I'm now past apoaps. Okay. Let's use a lot of fuel and just try to... Since the aerodynamics up here are very lenient, so I'm not creating a lot of drag at the moment. so I can afford to pitch that plane really high up and try to raise my apoapse, and it appears to be working! Yes! Okay, this looks really weird, but yeah, well, that looks cool, but yeah. Looking good. I think we're able to reach orbit with this. Haha. That would be nice, because that would be my first space plane with Mark III cargo bay parts that would be able to reach orbit on nuclear engines. So far I've only used some chemical rockets like the Rapiers or some big Kerbin stuff or the Vectors or whatnot. Getting some overheat indicators for the nuclear engines. That's why in later iterations of this plane I have put some small radiators on the vehicle. Okay, and now we're looking actually quite good. Yes, apoapse is very clearly above 70 kilometers. There we go. Setting a maneuver node. Well, that is perfect. And we still have some fuel left in the tanks, but unfortunately probably not enough to try what I'm trying to accomplish, which is getting this thing to Minmus. Okay, now we're reaching our apoapse real soon. There we go, almost there. Okay, some adjustments to the maneuver node. And once we fire our engines, we have circularization and we are stable in orbit, which is a good thing. Okay, there we go. Easy. Perfect. I brought the plane to space. Wonderful. Okay, now to get to Minmus, so I'm going to skip ahead through this because maneuver noding is boring to watch. So this is what I have planned. I'm going to go to the moon, use that to get myself a gravity kick, and then get out there to Minmus. So I'm using multiple O-berth burns, so I'm going to O-berth all over the place in this video. So yeah, we're already at our second burn or third burn even, I don't remember. I've cut this together so you don't have to watch everyone. Here we're already at the moon and we're going to use the moon's gravity and the O-berth effect over here to make a tiny burn to correct our Minmus encounter. Look at that beautiful Kerbin, the moon, the sun, and a small space plane on its way to another moon. This is one of the reasons I really love Kerbal Space Program, because it gives you a sense of the vastness of what space travel entails. Okay, and yeah, this is one of the reasons I don't like Kerbal Space Program, because those orbit splines, they just... yeah, I really hope this will get better in KSP 1.1, because they said that they would do something with those thingies, those orbit vectors, but yeah. Back to the story. We are now at Minmus. We have our Minmus encounter, and we, of course, have to circularize, so putting the vehicle in the correct orientation for the maneuver node. And then of course some fast forwarding and some fast burning to get around that tiny little green icy ball of rocks. Well, is it rocks? I don't know. What is the consistency of Minmus? Some say it is green ice. Not ice in the sense of water or something, but in the sense of ice cream. But since Kerbals cannot get out of their helmets and start licking the surface, we don't find out for some time now. Okay, now we're opening up one of the cargo bays and we're going to launch a little resource probe. There we go. And you can see one of the rovers glitching around over there because it has a claw. Another reason which annoys me in Kerbal Space Program, the behavior of the claw. Okay, of course we have to get our resource probe in a polar orbit, otherwise it won't scan for resources. Once again, skipping a little bit ahead. Warping ahead, rather, in this instance. And then we put it in the polar orbit, and then we can start our scan. No, we can't, because we don't have an periaps high enough. Well, that can be remedied very easily, can it? Okay, there we go. Now we can perform the scan. And we send the data, and here we are. Minmus has now some topographical resource data, and we're going to look for a suitable landing place, and that plains portion actually looks good. Yep, but first we have to get back to the Harbinger. And yeah, we did get back there, but you didn't have to watch all the way, just the final docking maneuver. You may have noticed that I no longer use docking port alignment indicator. That is because while filming this I have not had it installed yet, because I had to perform a complete vanilla install of Kerbal Space Program, since my previous install pretty much kind of, yeah, it was no longer usable. Okay, so the ramp is closed, and we are now already above the planes that we're going to try to land on. Some really nice flat surfaces here where we can put something like this vehicle down. Okay, this is going to take a while because Minmus's gravity is really low, and therefore I'm going to skip ahead a bit once again. Okay, and now we have a little bit of a problem, because since I am using Windows 10, I always am blocked by an app called Runtime Broker. Runtime Broker decides to, for reasons unknown, grab 30% of CPU power and about 2 gigs of RAM, and then everything freezes, which happened before, so I had to recreate that entire landing sequence. There, and yep, that bounce also happened with the first version, but you wouldn't be able to see it because it would be a slideshow of about, well, 1 frame per 10 seconds. And that's not very enjoyable to watch. Okay, and it takes really a lot of time to brake because there's not really a lot of gravity, so the brakes don't really bite a lot. And we're opening the front cargo bay. Yes, it has a front cargo bay. So what I did was use a regular cargo bay and put a ramp inside. And now we're back to the glitchy recording. Yeah, but it's getting better now. There we go. Okay, first rover is out, and this one is just a tiny resource rover. So you could use this for anything. You could hook it up to a base or to another space plane or to whatever with the claw, and then use the drills in the back and some solar panels, of course, for power. And then you could drill away and refuel any vehicle that you can encounter, as long as it stands on a surface that has enough ore beneath it. So there we go, we're going to refuel the plane while we do some other stuff. Once again, some lag. And then there's a second rover. Yep, we need a pilot and we need a scientist, because this is the science rover. And I'm very glad that I also used the other video to record the front ramp, because, yeah, this version really sucked from video quality standpoint. Yeah. That's the result when you only test on a planet with higher gravity, where the suspension really has to work and the vehicle therefore is lower. Since Minmus does not have a lot of gravity, the suspension is really high, And yeah, I almost didn't make it out. But one of the advantages is you can turn around really easily. Try to use that turning circle on Earth, or Kerbin, or anywhere. Okay, so this little science rover with some science junior lab and some crew cabin, and yeah, well, it's basically a science rover. This now gets back into the cargo bay, and then we're going to get the ship refueled and get back to Kerbin. So this is basically a proof of concept video test of the design. And right off the bat, some flaws may exist because I had to refuel before I could leave lower Kerbin orbit, so this does not have a lot of fuel capacity with regards to the cargo that it is able to carry. So I probably won't be able to use this thing to carry a big orange tank to orbit. But we have some ladders, so we can get back on there. Okay. Another Kerbal back inside. And then let's get the ladders inside and also the cargo bay. Okay. We have refueled the plane. I've skipped ahead a bit, of course. You may have noticed that the daytime has changed. And yeah, I'm bouncing all over the place and have to skip ahead a little bit. And there we go, we're inside and we're docked again. Yep. Okay, transferring to Kerbal, closing the cargo bay. And now it is time to leave Minmus. Okay, there we go, and firing up the nukes, and once again this is going to be laggy because Runtime Broker decided to come up again, although I have killed it before. Yeah, I was not able to raise the nose of this thing for reasons, so I decided to turn off 2 of those nuclear engines, then I decided to turn them back on and almost crashed into the surface. Whew, that was close. But yeah, we are now on our safe trajectory out of Minmus. This is looking good. I'm trying to hit that hill over there, and I probably won't, so yeah. This looks fine so far. And yeah, now it's time to get back to Kerbin. So we're going to warp to our maneuver node. There we go. Yes, okay. It appears that I forgot to dock the second rover. And yeah, it managed to stay in the cargo bay, but it didn't due to time warp. Okay, back on Kerbin. Well, at Kerbin, not on Kerbin. So we're now trying to enter the atmosphere. This is the real test. This is going to be interesting. Will the Harbinger stand up to the atmospheric heating effects? And we're closing in on 50 kilometers, 49, 48, getting hot, and the answer is no. Again. Okay, of course we have to try again. And after some, well, I had to use some fuel to brake around a little bit, and then everything crashed, and yeah, basically I had to hyper-edit the craft back in orbit. Sorry about that, so that's why the fuel is full already. Okay, but now it's really looking good, and we're on our way down. So here we're passing Kerbal Spaceport, or Kerbal Space Center. What's its real name now? I don't know. And yeah, we're gonna probably end up somewhere above the ocean, so it's getting really hot now, but, well, not as hot as it was before when I tried to do a really highly inclined orbit return. So the Kerbals are fine, the plane is fine, all engines are go. But we're going to skip ahead once more. Yes, diving into the clouds. Well, not yet, they're a little bit further down, but we're going to do that soon. Okay, so we're now going down to manageable speeds, which is nice for a change. And I think I am going to try to maneuver this thing now. Slowly trying to make a curve, slow. Yeah. Again! Well, after a few tries, we are now almost down through the clouds. Clouds, of course, with the new environmental visual enhancement mod. And there we go. Going to enter those clouds, and then we're going to get through those clouds, and then we're going to land. Fine. Well, not this time, maybe. Again! Okay, now. This is the final time, the final approach. We're going to make this. We're going to land this plane on that runway. And there's anything of you Kerbal weird glitchy thingy kraken stuff can do about it. Yes, this is looking good. Just adjusting my approach a little and... Okay, the cruise is alive and that counts as a landing. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.